Hi, it's Hans at ahappierman.com. Today's topic is masculine biceps. Well, the biceps is that front of your arm, right? Where everybody knows what the biceps are. And I think a lot of men would like to develop their biceps if it wasn't so tough to do so. Although I do see a lot of guys that just have painfully thin arms, just painfully thin. Like they've never used their arms for anything that needed any type of muscle. So I think you would be well served to spend enough time weight training to develop your arms, and especially your biceps. And the tricep, of course, is the back of the arm. You develop them both, and you do everything. You work out with weights and your entire body. But just as you need your entire body strong, it's important that your biceps are strong. For one thing, you use your arms a lot, and you need them to do most everything that you need to do in life. And what is nice about the biceps are, it looks good. When you have a bigger arm, a bigger bicep, it looks better. You look better in your shirt, whether your shirt is on or off, a tight shirt, even a loose shirt, people can tell. You're going to look more masculine, like a bigger, tougher, stronger guy. And so that's what I'm getting at is, I think it's better to be a bigger, tougher, stronger, more muscular guy. It creates a certain amount of happiness and satisfaction in yourself, and that you can do more for yourself. You don't have to rely on real men to do work, right? You can do quite a bit of the things for yourself. You don't have to call a bunch of real men to do the work. You can just do it. So that's why, I like to talk about weight training and being big and strong and as powerful and as muscular as you can, given your genetics and time commitments. So getting back to the biceps, well, there's a bunch of good exercises to do that, to work your bicep. But let's say there's a couple of things you could do that don't even involve the workouts themselves. For one thing, you could just kind of trim the hair on your arms so you're not quite so hairy, and that all that hair does is kind of obscure the muscles you do have. So if you have if you're starting to weight train, you'll like that idea of trimming your arms. You got to, there's inexpensive trimmers, and just kind of remove the bulk of that hair. You'll really notice this if you have darker hair, because the dark hair really obscures it. But even blonde hair on your arms will obscure your muscles quite a bit. So go ahead and trim the bulk of that off. I wouldn't go overboard with the shaving. That is just, a lot of extra work and a lot of time. Maybe you can probably shave your arms once every week or two, or if you're going to, if you want to look especially good, especially in the summertime. Even in the winter, though, it's good to kind of remove the bulk so that when you do have something you want to have your arms a little bit better looking for, it's not so much effort. But don't bother with the shaving. Another thing is, if you're considering getting a lot of tattoos on your arm, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Nowadays you see a lot of guys with that full sleeve of tattoos, and they just look so terrible. I'm just sorry. Everyone is. It's like everybody wants to look like they've spent their adult life in prison. It just don't. Not only is it like that look, but it obscures the muscles you have, and I don't think it makes you look that good. Unless you place these tattoos perfectly to make your muscles look better, usually it just obscures everything and makes you look worse. There's some you could do some minor flattering tattoos. That's probably fine. But that overall sleeve look, that doesn't look fine. I'm sorry. Sorry, it doesn't. What else? Well, you got to be careful with your shirts. You know, you want to wear, when you wear short sleeves in the summer, the shirt should come up high, right? Just up above the top part of your bicep up here. You know, and nice and kind of snug. So when somebody's looking at your arm, they see almost all the bicep and the tricep. It makes your arm look really big if that t-shirt is kind of snug. Now, of course, most cheap t-shirts go way low toward your elbow, and they look terrible. They're cheap, right? So you're going to have to spend a little money and try these shirts on to try to get the right size. But usually, the cheaper the shirt, the more ugly it's going to be, and it's going to make you look worse. Not sure why they do it that way, more material and everything, but for some reason that's what happens. With the problem will be if you're a bigger guy and you have like a bigger belly, a bigger gut, you'll need a bigger shirt so the shirt it's not real snug on your belly, making your belly look terrible. Well, that will make the top, the arms bigger too, and then it won't be quite as nice. So you want to spend some time flattening your belly, get that, control your eating so your belly isn't quite so bloated and big, so you can have the right size shirt to make the sleeves look right. Kind of a good look for a lot of guys is a long sleeve shirt but rolled up, so it's just above rolled up to your elbow area or so. Now that won't expose your bicep to, your bicep will be covered up with the shirt, but if the shirt is the right size and snug, they'll work together and it'll be a pretty good look. It's probably the best looking look. On the flip side of that, though, you see a lot of business type guys wearing long sleeve shirts all summer long, dealing with excessive heat. And of course, that's a real stupid thing, right? That you should make yourself hot just so you can look a certain way for certain people. I find that totally ridiculous and an unmasculine way of living. So in the summer, I wear the short sleeve shirts, so I'm cool and not hot. What else about your arms and biceps? Well, let's say you do start weight training, or you pick up the pace of the weight training, trying to develop the bigger arms that you really want. It's very easy to go overboard on the weight training with your arms. For one thing, working your biceps isn't nearly as difficult as deadlifting, squatting, benching, and overhead pressing and bent rowing. The big heavy duty lifts, those lifts take a lot out of you. Doing curls and other various bicep movements, it's not so darn tiring like those lifts, so it's a little bit easier to do. But since it's easier, you may tend to overdo it and do too many sets of those workouts and leave yourself kind of susceptible to injury. So I would caution you to kind of keep the volume of your arm workout down. It has to be enough to get the effect, but not so much that you get hurt. I usually find that if I'm trying to do extra sets beyond a heavy duty work set, that's where I get hurt. It's happened time and time again, and so I am trying myself to keep my sets to one work set. It's difficult because usually that one work set will feel really good. You'll move around a pretty substantial weight, and in the case of your biceps, you'll feel it. It will feel like a great workout, and you think, I've got a lot of energy. I'm not all worn out like after squats. I might as well do one more set. I'll rest a minute. That's where you're most susceptible to injury. You're probably not going to get sick from extra bicep work. You know, let's say if you're doing a bunch of sets of squats when you're already getting a cold, it'll make you'll really get a cold. I mean, the volume on the big lifts are what get you most run down. But the volume on the small lifts are what will leave you susceptible to injury. I was doing some lying tricep extension like more than 3 years ago, and on my second set, I had a great first set. On the second set, I hurt my right elbow, and I'm still dealing with that 3.5 years later. So don't do that. If I would have just quit after that one good set, I wouldn't be dealing with this injured elbow all these years, wondering if it's ever going to get better. Totally. So I have to continually work around this injury, and I feel it, right? My right arm is it doesn't have as much capacity for work as my left arm, even though I'm right-handed. Another thing you might want to do is kind of avoid doing stupid things and getting yourself hurt doing foolishness. Extreme sports, lifting things too much without help. You know, as a young man, I did all kinds of crazy things. You know, I thought I was big and strong and indestructible, and I wasn't. And that's, you see that with younger guys. Once they start weight training, they think they're so strong, and they are strong, right? You're strong and tough and strong, but you throw your body around and you end up getting hurt. So maybe not do that much of that. Now I'm an older guy in my 50s, so I certainly know enough not to get hurt in that way. It's mostly just the overdoing the weight training. So anyway, those are some ideas on how to make your masculine biceps look good without even getting into the weight training. All for now.